This is Issues of the Moment, a current affairs program of Living Television Aba in Southeast Nigeria. I'm your regular host, Chimezie Ozems. Our talking point today is extortion and harassment by law enforcement agents in Nigeria, Africa's most populous democracy. But our discussion today, we are going to place emphasis on the police. Nigeria was last year rocked by the SARS protest. The protest started as a call to end police brutality and extrajudicial killings, which are endemic in Nigeria. Police brutality can be traced to the military era when Nigerians were unlawfully arrested, when soldiers unlawfully arrested Nigerians. That's the issue we are going to discuss today, and I have with me in the studio St. Moses Ogbonna. St. Moses Ogbonna is an Aba-based lawyer. He is also a human rights activist. I also have in the studio Mr. Uche Emeku. Mr. Uche Emeku, this is the first time he is appearing on the program. I also have a regular contributor as far as Issues of the Moment is concerned. He is Professor Chinedum Adiele. Professor Adiele is a public affairs analyst. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you. Thank you. Viewers, you're welcome.
Let me start with you, St. Moses Ogbonna. We all know that police brutality cannot be completely eradicated in our society. But is there a decline in cases after that SARS protest?
Thank you very much. The case of the police, we know, and the slogan has always been there, that the police is our friend. Police force is created in our constitution, and the objective was to secure the lives and properties of the citizen. Police was there to checkmate crime, make sure that the citizens sleep with their two eyes closed without any form of harassment. The military were not meant to come and secure the civil society. The military were to remain in the barracks, and when there is time of war, you see the military come. Before the SARS saga, we saw a very different and a very serious activities of the police that ran counter of the purpose for which the police force was set up. Incessant harassment of the citizens, police brutality, violence in a manner that the citizens were now becoming afraid of the police more than they were afraid of the criminals. You see the police incriminating the citizens, putting exhibits in their vehicles, and extorting monies from them, checkpoints here and there, until the SARS came. When the SARS came, the police appeared to have quietly withdrawn from their public harassment of the citizens. But I think after changing the name from SARS to now Arares, and there's another one they call SWAT. The scenario that brought up SARS has gradually crept back into the society, into the lives and the duties of the police. The police now have assumed another kind of operation, assumed a situation they don't intimidate the people, harass the people. Instead of using checkpoint, the checkpoint is no longer an issue. They now use jeeps, use vehicles, use motorcycles, overtake people, and they begin to search unnecessarily, search handphone, carrying handphone, asset is now a crime. Carrying a laptop is now a crime.
Okay, don't worry. As Moses Oguna, we will come to that. Now, Uche Emeko, the SARS protest took place in 2020. More than 1 year after, have you observed a decline in police extortion and also harassment?
I don't think so. In fact, I will say that it is now assuming a very dangerous dimension. Because formerly, I think they were very circumspect in the level of intimidation and harassment of the citizens. I'll give you an example. Just the other day, somewhere here in Aba, my child visited us from the school. And he wanted to go back to the school, just a stone throw from our residence. Around 6:30, I told him not to leave the house until tomorrow. He said, why? I said, you know the level of intimidation and harassment by the police force, because now we are no longer afraid of the criminals, because I may say that at the level of harassment and intimidation is getting out of hand. Well, he did not agree. He said he can get back to his school, that there will not be any problem. But not up to 5 minutes he left the house, he received a phone call that he has been picked by these SARS men from one of the police stations around this area. Well, in fact, I was alarmed. I tried to find out why, but we were not able to get a clear picture. So I and his mother now left our house, trying to figure from which area there could be. And then we left. After searching, by that time...
They did not give you the location?
No, they did not. He was picked right in front of my house as they just left, came down from our building. They left and then he was picked. And by the time we could go around, checking some of the police stations, we now received a call from him. He said that they have released him and that right now he's back in school. And we tried to find out why they had to pick him in the first place. He said, when they picked him up, that they had to search his phone, ask him what his job was. And he told them he's a student, a medical student. And they went through his phone for whatever reasons, I don't know. But they later released him when they found out that there is nothing incriminating whatsoever. And what baffled me and his mother is that there has not been any report of any robbery or crime incidents around our place. And in fact, I thank God, because I nearly had a heart attack, because this is one of my best children as far as behavior is concerned. And then, even, under that situation, I couldn't imagine why they had to search his phone. I do not know why. I don't know why they picked him up. He dresses decently. He wasn't in any car. He was just to pick up a bike, maybe back to his school.
No dreadlock.
No dreadlock, nothing. If you see him, you will understand, but his dressing alone will tell you that he's a very responsible, child. Now, that thing, it gave me a lot of concern. So the area I am pointing at is that the brutality and harassment of police, harassment this time, is getting out of hands, that parents have fear for the safety of their children, not from criminals, but from those who are meant to protect good citizens. Now, one thing I found out that night, the police had hillocks just very close to our house. When I went out, I saw children of between 19 to 23 in their vehicle. I mean, their hillocks was jam-packed with these young boys. I don't know. And I tried to find out what could have been the problem. They told me to go my way, that my child is not there. I said, but there must have been something happening around so that some of us living around can also take precaution. Apart from that, when you find out that Aba has been a place that the police has taken it upon themselves to be harassing, children. In fact, just yesterday again, I received a phone call from my sister that my senior brother's son was arrested and that is in one of these police stations. I said, I'm not going to go there. But then that they may hear from me or they may not hear, because I don't know. I was not told what he did. So the kind of situation you find yourself in Nigeria, especially right down the east here, is something to worry about.
Okay, Uche, thank you very much. That is the situation in Nigeria. Professor Dele, before I come to you, let me ask Moses this question. You heard what he said, that police search the phone of his ward. Now, I'm asking you this question because of your vocation. You are a lawyer. Is there any law in our statute books that empower the police to search the phone of any individual?
There is what we call stop and search,
okay,
which the police act warrants the police to do. But that is way in a criminal zone, a zone that is criminally notorious. The police can stop and search anybody within that zone. For instance, if there is a kidnapping within a place, or robbery within a place, or something happened within a place, and the criminals run away, the police can begin a stop and search of any individual they reasonably or have a reasonable suspicion. Again, the law empowers the police to arrest anybody who is seen committing crime before him. What I do not know is, with the present situation in Nigeria and Aba, what the police calls reasonable suspicion. When you see, the other day they caught my son, who is an engineer in the studio here, because he carried a laptop. They took him to their station until one of the policemen identified him and said, oh, this is a son to St. Moses. I asked them, assuming this person has nobody known to him, so you will arrest him. Take his laptop. In some cases, they will open the laptop and you see these boys paying 100,000, 50,000 before they can be released on bail for just carrying laptops. Nothing incriminating. We still asking, if you, peradventure you open the phone, how many of these Yahoo boys have we seen arrested and convicted by police under the stop and search operation? No. So, to answer your question in a nutshell, even the IG has said, stop arresting people because of phone. Stop harassing the youth because of handset. The youths now are wise. They now use handset and the phones to operate their business. You will see somebody who cannot rent a shop. What he does is to open a WhatsApp platform, open a Facebook platform, display his wares. advertising whatever vocation and the profession he has. And the people from that platform will be patronizing him. Somebody had just come to my television. He's a car dealer. I told him one of the services we render here, apart from advertising your business, we also advertise you on the social media. We ask you, all your customers, you collect, whoever visits your shop, collect his WhatsApp number. We open a platform for your clients so that you will be able to reach them, intimate them of new products you have in your shop. They will know your activities, you will know them. So, in a nutshell, there is no such law that prohibits anybody from freely moving on the street with his laptop and the phone.
Okay, thank you very much for that wonderful explanation. Now, Professor Dele, don't you think that Nigerians are asking too much from the police when you consider that police is a smaller unit of the society, and you know how corrupt, how fantastically corrupt Nigeria is? The police we have, they are not angels. They are Nigerians. Is that not a reflection of the decay in the wider society?
Well, it all depends on what you mean by asking too much from the police. These are men who are trained to do a particular job, just like you're here. You are a trained journalist, that's why you're seated here. And then if you decide to work outside the scope of your business and profession to do something else, who do we blame? You or the society or the people that employed you? So I don't think the society is asking so much from the police, except that the police, because of greed, I think they are now cross-carpeting, so to say. They are not living up to expectation anymore. If you go to our various police barracks, you see the inscription, bail is free. But it is not practiced. I don't know who they are using that to deceive. And when you talk about this brutality and the harassment, I don't think it is rampant anywhere as it is in Aba. It is mostly in Aba. Then when I used to be a very good friend to some of them, the Nigerian police guys here, you discover that a particular place, a particular person, a particular officer will pay a huge amount of money to ensure he's not posted out of this place. Most of them, when they are posted out, they will pay through their nose to ensure that they are retained here. Why? Because of what happens here. Because Aba is predominantly, owned by traders and so on. And people who are always very busy, who are not ready to go to sort it out either in the station or even don't have time for a police case. And that is why they capitalize on that to deal with people. It has happened severally, even before our office here. And that you see, the other day, I don't know if I was sitting with you in the office when a young man ran into the office.
Yes.
Ran into the office.
I was there.
Yes. What was chasing you? That the police. He just went to, I know him, he went to pay NEPA bill. And after the bill, he was about going when the police said, "Ram, come here." As he was coming, he said, "Get the phone." When he had get the phone from me, he ran into this office and told us what is happening. What did he do? And I know him, he's a student. I know the mother who sent him. So that level of embarrassment is too much. What are the people asking from the police? If we should look at the definition and also the literary meaning and understanding of all the military and paramilitary, the police, they are supposed to be the closest people to us here. Because the army themselves should be at the borders or live in the bush. The Navy should live in the water. The Air Force should live in the air. It's the police only that we have to stay here. But unfortunately, the police has refused. The police is your friend. It's just a mere saying. It is not, even the approach. It is only here in Aba you cannot stop and ask a police, assuming you miss your way. You see a policeman on duty, you can ask him. But other places outside here, it is worse in the east, and particularly in Aba here. And I don't know why it is so. The sense of this phone searching, laptop, and so on. It is more here, prying into your privacy. And the way they do it is so intimidating that the young men are now afraid. If you have a bushy hair, you are in trouble. If you have a dreadlock, maybe you're a musician. In those days, those who are involved in reggae music are known with the dreadlock. You are in trouble.
Even footballers now.
Even footballers now, yes. Most footballers, have that. You are in trouble. So what kind of society are we living in? And they are not doing this to sanitize the society. Just about how much they make.
Extortion.
The last group of SARS that were here, we learned at the point they were moving with POS. The moment they search and look into your phone and there is money there, they'll bring out the POS, ask you for your card and tell you how much you transfer to them. When you look at all these things, it's out of the way. It is out of the constitution. It is out of the constitution. It has nothing to do with their constitutional right and performance at all. So I think the IG sometime announced that there will be no more roadblocks and so on. But he's still there. Now there are no more roadblocks, yes. But they have their vehicles. They can stop anywhere. Just like what happened on Friday. The Isiomangwa Youth Congress election held on Friday. And a huge amount of money was paid to a particular station of the police. They came there. They never lasted for 5 minutes. They stay a little, they go out. And what will they be? Going to block the road. So they cannot do that job because they've learned so much, they make so much money in blocking the road. And because of that, they will not take their job serious. So I think something must be done, both the IG of police and all the senior officers. And most of them will openly, the other one they said they sacked the other day, they openly said that even his DPO knows what he's doing. So I think the officials, the big time officers who stay in the office are aware of most of these things. And they send them to do it. That is why they do it with impunity. I think something must be done about that.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, Uche Emeko, I remember that some time ago, the Inspector General of Police gave an order that police officers should stop illegal checkpoints, searching of phones and laptops, illegal collection of money for bail. But it does appear that these orders are being flouted. Is that not a sign of decay in the police?
Yeah, it's a serious sign of decay. You see, there is something where, part of the problem the police and the society have now is that the law that strengthens the police or the law against crime is no longer effective. Effective in the sense that there is no more punishment for one who flouts the order of his senior. Because the senior man, his words are supposed to be law for the junior ones.
You're talking about discipline.
Yes, I'm talking about discipline. It is no longer there. Now, for instance, a few days ago, somebody came to an office where I am staying, as a human rights activist, and then made a complaint. And the complaint is against a policeman that is living in the same vicinity with her. And in fact, the people around there are really being terrorized. If I say, the man is a policeman is a clear case of visible terrorism. And when this woman came, we raised a petition to, for her to the state commissioner of police. This thing is up to 6 months now. I don't think anything has happened concerning that matter. Rather, they now turned that situation to a level, to a conduit for extortion. For instance, moving your file from this office to this office, you have to pay money. And these things get me mad sometimes. Because now, who will now take that matter to the court? If you find your way by any means taking that matter to court, you will also be frustrated. Because even the lawyers will come there. Nobody will want to volunteer to put this society in order. After all, the police is supposed to be a major instrument for the protection of democracy. I tell you one thing. The other day, I was a medical student. I don't have to mention his name. By the grace of God, he does business, a legitimate business. And then he got himself a car and was using it as normal. Then the police got them arrested. And then I want to tell you that the boy was extorted the sum. They extorted the sum of 200,000 from him. And when this matter got to our office, we were about going when the boy called us and said that they have released him because one of his uncles is a policeman in that station. And so that uncle went to the officer and told him that if he does not return that money, that he will be in a lot of mess. And so you can imagine that kind of thing. That is agreeing with...
What happened to the money?
And they gave him back the money.
Okay,
and then he went away.
Because he has a person in
Yes.
the station.
Because he has a person in that station. That is the point I am trying to make out there. But the other policeman, I say up till this time, nothing has happened to that policeman. The police continue to play games. And when they play games like this, how do you think the society will be in order? There are too many things about intimidation. The other day, around my place where I live, there is a car wash around there. After washing a car, the boy, the man, the attendant there, now drove that car out. And that he was just moving to go park it to the owner's place. The police on the way caught him. And by the way, is police supposed to be mounting roadblocks within the town? Are they supposed to be intimidating people? Now, if you move just some few meters away from here, you will see them. Even at this vicinity, yes. I make bold to tell you that. What do they do there? They continue searching, people. Now, okay, how do we move forward, take a leap into the future when our technology, the drivers of our technology is being intimidated along the line? And so I think it is the decay in the police that is reflected in the larger society, because you don't have anybody you're afraid of any longer. Because the man that is supposed to handle your case and put you in the right order is also, is your pally. And so how do you make it? In fact, if I tell you the kind of situations we have that has come to our office, you will be sorry for whoever ventures that is arrested by police for any reason at all. I don't like to go there.
Okay, thank you, Uchemeko. Now, Sir Moses Obona, I'm still going to ask you the question about flouting the IG order, but you will answer that question when we come back from this break. At this point, we are going to take a break, and when we come back, issues of the moment continues. Don't go away.
Oh yeah. I want to know. Yes, I want to know which way Nigeria is heading to. Which way Nigeria? Which way Nigeria? Which way to go? Which way to go? I love my fatherland. Oh yeah. I want to know. I want to know which way Nigeria is heading to. Many years after independence, we still find it hard to start. How long shall we be patient before we reach the promised land? Let's save Nigeria, so Nigeria won't die. Which way Nigeria? Which way? Which way Nigeria? Tell me which way to go. I love my fatherland. Oh yeah. I want to know. Yes, I want to know which way Nigeria is heading to. Every little thing that goes wrong, we start to blame the government. We know everything that goes wrong because we are part of the government. Let's save Nigeria, so Nigeria won't die. Which way Nigeria? Which way? Which way Nigeria? Tell me which way to go. Which way to go? I love my fatherland. Oh yeah. I want to know. Want to know which way Nigeria is heading to. Inefficiency and indiscipline is ruining the country now. Corruption here, there, and everywhere. Inflation is very high. Let's save Nigeria, so Nigeria won't die. Which way Nigeria? Which way Nigeria? Which way to go? Which way to go? I love my fatherland. Oh sure, sure. I want to know. Yes, I want to know. Which way Nigeria is heading to. We made mistakes during the oil boom, not knowing that was our doom. Some people now have everything, while many, many have nothing. Let's save Nigeria, so Nigeria won't fall.
Welcome back to the program. This is Issues of the Moment, and today our conversation is centered on extortion and harassment by law enforcement agents, and we are focusing on the activities of the Nigerian police. At this point also, we are going to open our telephone line so that you can be part of this interesting discussion. You can reach us on 091 6828 4994. I'm going to take it again, 091 6828 4994. Now, Sembosu Sobona, before we went on that short break, I promised you that I'm still going to ask you the reason for flouting the orders of the Inspector General of Police, who happens to be the highest ranking officer in that very force, the #1 police officer. Why should junior officers flout his order?
Because there is no organized disciplinary measure. The people that are supposed to check whether the order has been there or not, or is being flouted or not, or is being maintained or not, are part and parcel of the crime. For instance, if the Inspector General of Police gives an order, the order is being transmitted to the AIGs and to the commissioners of police, who will now push down the order down the rank and file, the DPOs, and down to the rest of the policemen. It is the DPOs who will report to the area commander. It is the area commander that will report according to their hierarchies before it gets to the commissioner of police, before it gets to the IG. Now, the Igbo man says, no name na ya duneroshi, jeju bakozo. If the man who ought to report you to IG is the person you are bringing the booty for, he will not. I remember one incident that happened the other day where it is alleged that some policemen rough-handled a youth in the evening. In fact, set a dog against him. When we took the matter to the DPO defended them. Said it's not true, that the boy has no business to be there around that time. That there was no dog there at all. The following day, they killed the dog and ate. So if the police that ought to do the job under the surveillance of a DPO is being accommodated by the DPO, the IG says there should be all the patrol roadblocks should be dismantled. Did they set up a patrol team to monitor whether those patrol roadblocks are there or not? Now, the kind of policeness you have at a particular period should be determined by the type of organized crime that is prevalent at a particular time. The crime we have now is not the street crime. It is most especially kidnapping, banditry, armed robbery, insurgency. Those are the crimes that are prevalent now. It is not car theft. Every police in Nigeria, 99.99% of the police are after particulars of vehicle, whether they have expired or not. Not necessarily whether the car you have is stolen or not. Even at the so-called roadblock that we are talking about, none of these men will ask you to open your boot. Even if you open your boot remaining at your steering, they may, it is alleged that they may plant exhibits in your boot to incriminate you. It is better for Nigerian police to catch a criminal so that they will have money than to catch a man who has nothing incriminating upon him. And they will frown at you and say, hey, because you are a lawyer, hey, because you are a government officer. After they have checked your particulars, gone through your car and saw that nothing is there, they are not happy. But once they see that your particulars is not correct, they collect money. They won't even prosecute you, denying the government. Because if they catch people with particulars and hand them over to the appropriate office, people will know that moving on the street without particulars is an offense. But because they will quickly settle the police, and that is the only reason why the police is on the road. Look at it. Now they move bandits on trailers. We have not seen any trailer stopped at any checkpoint, and the policemen climb into the vehicle to see what is inside that vehicle. Nobody. Once you bring out your hand and say to the police, that is the end of the road. Now, there is nothing like community. No, community does not exist. No land is there for community. None for local government. None for state. You can't stand on Abia State. You can't stand on Isialamba South local government. The only place you can stand upon is a village. Where are you? I am in Omonglago village. You cannot say I'm in Isialamba South. They say where in Isialamba South, because there is no location called Isialamba South. All
All the crime that happens in this country happens at a location, either in a village or on a street, a house in a street. The police ought to engage the people in the village. It worries me and bothers me when people say people are kidnapped and taken into a forest. Where is that forest? In a particular village. And the police from Enugu will come and claim he wants to locate where those bandits are without the people who owns the village. How can you do that?
Okay, thank you very much for that explanation. Now, Professor Adiele, with due respect to the police, I think efforts have been made by the force to tackle the issue of extortion. For instance, the complaints unit of the police was established in 2015, and here is a report from that unit. According to the unit, it received 14,967 complaints against police officers, and that a total of 258 police officers have been punished and 31 dismissed. The report went further to say that the unit said that it recovered 55.6 million naira as proceeds from extortion and money returned to their owners. Is that not alarming?
Well, the story you read out here is like a man who comes back from the prison and is boasting before his village men that what he did with the prison warders is wonderful. Will you go to the prison to ascertain what they told you? This is what they are saying to Claire. Just like the example they make here, that they had a report and we able to write a report to the Commissioner of Police, and as we speak, nothing has been done. That is it. And then when you talk about this complaint commission and so on, there have been a lot of complaints to the. I know one of us here, Barrister Wogu, was a complaint commission person, the ombudsman. And then we know that so many of these reports, that when it gets to the table of either the commissioner, DPO, and so on, it stops there. Why? Because they are part of this. Let me tell you, if the Nigerian police need to be sanitized, we need to start from the head. And now in Nigeria here, it's only politicians that will ask to declare the assets and so on. A policeman, I know a friend, Dane, who is a policeman, just about a sergeant, who had 2 powerful cars, including a Jeep that he sold at $1 million and had a duplex. How much is his salary? And how do they check all this? And then that is why they will always tell you, that these are, anytime any commissioner of police comes in to a state or DPO, he will now reshuffle the police cabinet to choose his boys, those who will be making returns for him. And then when you are talking about this, how can it stop? When they openly do it on the main road. If you are moving down now by the rail, the former boss by the rail here, you know, that's Factory Road, by the rail there, you see them packed by one side and then stopping vehicles openly. They don't care who is coming, simply because they are doing it with every amount of impunity, because they know that even their boss, even if you report to their boss, the boss know that they are there. Just like the adage Zemo, you know, gave, when if you're sent to steal by your father, you will use your leg and break the door, nothing will happen.
You'll be bold.
You'll be very bold in doing it. So that is exactly what is happening. What they are telling you, what they recovered and who they gave back the money to and so on. Take for instance the bailout fund. When we are talking about bailout, they say it's free. No matter how civil the matter is, no matter how common the matter is, go to ask for a person's hand to release him from the police bail. See how much they'll tell you.
Even to go for arrest.
Even to go for arrest.
150, 200,000.
Yes, even to go for arrest. You invite the police that you're having a function. You need their presence there to maintain peace and order. They will also charge you. Call them in the night for a particular thing. They will tell you there is no fuel. And now you ask yourself, what is the function of the police in the society? If every little service given, except when they are mounting roadblock where they collect money, every other service must be paid for. You see a man reporting with blood all over him, and he's telling you this is what happened. Let's go for arrest. Even with that blood that is covering your eyes, they'll ask you how much do you have, so that we can tell
You
somebody.
register the case.
You register the case with money. So when you look at all this, you now begin to ask yourself, what kind of society are we? There was a time I went to, when I was the chairman of Alliance for Democracy, we moved down to Kaduna. Do you know that when we talk about these roadblocks, it's just between here and Enugu, the moment we crossed Abuja, heading to Kaduna, there is no single roadblock. The police are parked by the way, and then you keep going. Nobody stops you on the way. So that was when I now know that these things is majorly here. It only happens here. And because of the nature of the people in Aba, Enyimba City, everybody is in a haste because they are majorly traders, and these people have capitalized on that. The moment you mention court, the average Aba businessman, I don't have that kind of time. Give them money and let us continue. And they've capitalized. This is where they come to make money, not where they come to do police service. That is the problem. And there is no, when you talked about what they established, the police complaint commission and so on, it's not working here. It's not working here. Because I remember one of our mechanics had a problem and we went there. So we said, let us see the superior officer. Even when the superior officer, when they were talking about 50,000, what for? That you gave a mechanic, because you are a police officer, you gave a mechanic a vehicle to do for you. He checked it and said, these are the parts you are going to buy. They pay the money so that we go and get the parts. You refuse to pay because you want him to do it free for you. You want him to do it free because you are wearing a uniform, and then he will use his blood to go and get those parts to repair your vehicle. Even when you had finished, to pay the money becomes what? And the next thing you said he has delayed your vehicle, you got him arrested. And on that arrest, you want him to bail himself with money. And the superiors are there. You say you want to see the superior, you go to the superior will tell you, you know these boys now, that is not the way, this is an officer of the law, you should have done this, I don't know. Why? Does police mean that you get something free? Just like what is happening in the churches. Most of the Pentecostal churches don't give. The moment you become a pastor, you expect every tithe, every offering, but you don't give out to others. So they are always, the extortion is from head to toe. I may not talk about the IG, but I know both the commissioner, the DPOs, the area commanders, and so on. They are all involved because they are the one. They can't say they are ignorant of these roadblocks and those who stand on the way. They know all about this. But what have they done about it?
Okay. Thank you. Now, Moses Ogonna, from what Professor Adiele said, it does appear that the Southeast appears to be the hardest hit when you talk of extortion and harassment. Why is it that Ndibo are unwilling to seek redress?
Yes, you have what he said as well. Everybody, average Igbo man is a businessman, always in a hurry. The moment he invites a lawyer, he is inviting a lawyer not to fight for his rights, to negotiate bail. That's why people like us who are lawyers don't get cleared when it comes to police matter. As Moses said, this man is coming to spoil something for us. Because we know they give you shish. You understand? So when they know that you are willing to pay because you fear detention, I used to tell them that the cell is made for man, not man for cell. If they say enter cell, I've been into cell. But insist on your right. It is going to cell does not demean you, does not belittle you. It is a place that you may be to stop you for a while, or to change you to another level, or to teach you to know you are right. When you consult the correct lawyers, like we are on television, we are going to start our program here. If any police intimidates you or anybody, your landlord, you come here. We call him on phone and ask him why he should detain this person live. Why he should keep this person in detention when he has somebody to take him on bail, so that we will assist to expose what is happening in our police. You see, if the police should know that the level of crime, the pattern of crime has changed to banditry, to kidnapping, to robbery, they will change their strategy. That's why when they are at police checkpoints, they are the first to be, imagine where a police officer will be kidnapped, will be shot at the checkpoint, will be shot at a place where he at his duty post, even at the police station. Why? Because they are so docile. What they look at as criminals are those without particulars. You see 10 policemen at a roadblock, all of them will be at the same roadblock because they want to know how much money has been collected. When the criminals come, they round all of them up because they are interested in how much money they will make instead of, you know, securing the place and the people, even becoming security conscious themselves. The other day we were traveling, see all of them rushing to know whether our driver paid or not. Even a corporal was giving an order to DPO, inspector of police, giving him order, a corporal. Pack that man. A corporal was ordering an inspector because they are interested in what they have belittled and disgraced the Nigerian police to a point that nearly all of them in Aba now are after keke people. Tricycle in the evening, it is now a crime to be a tricycle operator. You will check particulars of tricycle. When you see the jeeps coming, they give way and the jeeps will pass. If they see a lady in a vehicle, they will pack her particulars. They won't even bother the boot. That is the problem. If the DPOs, upon whose shoulder rests the grassroots policemen, we will have a good police security.
Only before you go on, Mr. Moderator, it is also important to point out that why it has continued is because it's like Nigerians were deceived when the IG now, after the SARS
protest.
Protest. It looked as if what happened was just changing the name and not changing the people. That's why we are still having the same thing the way it is. Nothing has changed. It has rather increased because the same people are there. They have also re-strategized on how to deal with these people. But if they have gotten a fresher people who are fresh from the training, who are given the who have the constitutional backing of their job, I'm sure the whole scenario would have changed. But it cannot change because they only changed the name. It's just a main alphabetical change. SARS to RRS, but not the same people.
Okay, thank you. Now, Uchemeko, all of us are aware that the police is waging a fight against cybercrime. But it also appears that every young man with a laptop is now regarded as a criminal. Should that be the case? What is the solution?
That shouldn't be the case anywhere. And by the way, I don't think the police is empowered to search anybody's laptop or phone. I think the police only has that right when a crime has been reported against somebody that is using this instrument for something. And then all you do that job even decently. You look at the thing under his permission and also under his surveillance. You look at the situation to find out what the content of that material. But for you to start harassing every person on the streets, I mean, it calls for, concern, because those who are supposed to check the societal crime are now also part of it. So I don't think their job is to do that. Rather, it is retrogressive. It does not call for, advancement in training, in learning, and then development of the society. it is not the job of the police. I think you have the cybercrime police who monitors, even as you have your handset or you have your laptop or you have all these electronic gadgets. As you use them, they are also checking at a point. It's like the police on the highway. The police does not need to stop every other person, but at a vantage point, you are seeing traffic offenders and you will call them to order. In fact, as a matter of fact, even in that of police, if you have a car and your car is rightly captured, even the particulars and every other thing, anyone that expires, you know, even right from your office, and then you just check that person on the way as he's passing, because there are some policemen on the road that will check even with that number. When they see that number, the riders will go after that person and ask him to park and maybe take him to the station. But you find out that our police is all-purpose police. It's all-purpose police, and don't be surprised that one day they will also come here to tell you, to ask you who told you to interview somebody. I mean, that is the level that we are degenerated in this our society. What they are doing isn't what they were told to do. And I am just sorry to say that most of us are not, most of the policemen, they are not technologically compliant. They don't know, you know, they just see this thing as another source of making money. They just see these things as a source. When you trap somebody because he doesn't have the time, and because they have, the police themselves have wages on the way to make you, to intimidate you, to make you afraid.
That's what happens when you have a German vehicle or Chinese vehicle that has no figure. Maybe their registration number is XXX. And you will be pointing to the policeman that this engine number is XXX. Say, show me the...
There must be a number there.
Not knowing where the vehicle was made. Okay, we were asked to register our phone numbers. You can't have a phone number that is not registered. And the argument the NCC, I think that is them,
Yes.
gave us is that the moment you call, you can be tracked.
Yes.
Because you are registered. But today, kidnappers make use of the
Bandits.
bandits, make use of the force. Don't call even the federal government.
They can't track them down.
Say, bring so millions of money to us. Oh, come and bring the money. Federal government will pay. State government will pay. And the Nigerian police, even the police that registered the thing, has no technology that can be used to track. Either they do not have, or they are part and parcel of the system.
And when you talk about these laptop and so on, take for instance, in most of the colleges today, I think one of the prerequisites for a student is to have
a laptop.
For instance, in Living TV Film Academy, if you don't have a laptop, you are not started. In most of the editings and so on we do, it's done with laptop. And so when you don't just see every, or rather assume that every other person that is carrying a laptop is a criminal. It is wrong. It's just like when you say every other person that has a phone is a criminal. You want to search the phone. It is very, very wrong. And I also think that the NCC, when they talked about, when they gave this issue of phone registration and so on, I thought they were going to go a little further and not just where they stopped. By that registration, I think all the police headquarters and divisions of the police were supposed to have all these numbers and registrations. And so they will have or devise a means of tracking down any particular one, just like the instance Sir Moses gave here. But if a criminal, a bandit, will be calling the federal government to say, you pay us this amount of money for these people to be released, like the one that happened in the north about the train. Now, what stops them from using that number to track these people down? That means there's more to that registration than we think. It is not all about helping the Nigerian populace. It is not all about helping to reduce crime, just like they claimed. How far has it gone to help in reducing crime? If the bandits themselves will use their phone and call, and yet you couldn't track them. So they have a lot of questions to answer concerning that.
Okay, thank you very much. We are approaching the end of the program, but before we draw the curtain on today's edition of the program, Sir Moses, let me ask you this question, and I want you to be brief. Is there a solution to the problem, or have we crossed the red line?
No, there's a solution. Very big solution.
What's the solution?
The solution is for us to have a sincere police. A police that is disciplined. A police that is well trained. We have trained the policemen. When they decide to work, we see them work. When my Oga was kidnapped, sometime during the time of the kidnapping, the governor then gave express order, get this man released. And the police went straight to where the man was kidnapped and released him alone. Only him was released. And the rest were there. If you have a disciplined police, a police that is well paid, well equipped, a police that knows that his future is protected by being a policeman. If you go to American police, try and give them bribe, you are in trouble. But here,
It's unthinkable.
if you refuse to give the bribe, you are in trouble. You understand? So the only solution is for Nigerian police to go deep down, appoint policemen at the head who are disciplined, have a heart that is disciplined, so that they can turn around and discipline them.
Uche Emeko, what is the panacea?
Yes, I believe that it is not the amount of money you pay to a policeman that will make him to stop crime. In fact, the more money you pay, the more crime he commits. Because one, you found out that inflation and exchange rate is making nonsense of whatever you pay.
Of the value of the naira.
What you have to look at is the moral rectitude of the man that you're employing. What is his family background? What has he done before? When he went to school, how did he pass his examinations?
A background check.
Yes, we do a thorough background check, because I have this governor who claims to be an academic, and yet has, under his watch, has lost the accreditation of most educational institutions. I think I want to stop here, because before I run into hot water.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, Professor Adele, is it a question of erosion of societal values? Is that what you are witnessing?
Well, that is part of it. There was a point, though Uche Meku spoke against us, there was a point St. Moses raised, because they say whoever that must go to equity must go to equity with clean hands.
Clean hands.
I think the Nigerian police, something must be done. There was a time I learned, I don't know about now, that even from the private or the constable to the rank of sergeant and inspector don't get up to 100,000 as a salary. And yet these are men by our African culture who have a wife, and most of them now would want to practice pure African culture. They marry in every station they go to, and these children would be trained at that little and meager resources. And how do you expect they go?
And they're exposed to the
And
danger
they talk about the exposure of the dangers in the society. So I think it is important while they run this background check, because there are so many of them that want to go to police simply because of the extortion, because they've seen others doing it. But if we want to be thorough to ourselves, when one of my brothers, when I was the president general of my community, so in our electricity project, one of our brothers said he wanted to take. I gave it to him to be the chairman of our electricity project. I didn't know that his interest was just to make sure he will make money from it. When I asked him, he said he mentioned 2 names from area who are his schoolmates who have already made it. Then it was later that somebody would now ask him, do they make it by being electricity project of their various communities? What is happening in Nigeria is enough to make these people, most of these guys become criminals. When a House of Assembly member who is your classmate, within a year or 2 years is elected, he has a duplex, has chains of cars, become a multi-millionaire, and you a civil servant as a police officer and so on, you have nothing to compare to what he has. The senators go home with millions of naira, yet those who taught them in class cannot make such amount of money.
Professors.
Yes, professors cannot make such amount of money. And when you look at it, it is not balanced. It is not balanced. So the Nigerian society should do something about this. And they should also remember when they talk about minimum wage of 30,000, when others are taking 1 million, and yet all of us go to the same market. So the Nigerian society should look inwards and make sure that these people are properly remunerated.
Okay, thank you very much. And with that, we have come to the end of today's edition of the program, Issues of the Moment. It came to you on the stable of Living Television Aba in Southeast Nigeria. We have been discussing police brutality and extortion. And the submission of my discussants is that all hope is not lost. We can still address the problem. I want to thank St. Moses Obonna, Uche Emegu, and Professor Chinedu Madiele for coming today to talk to us on this important subject. Gentlemen, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
My name is Chimezie Ozems. I will always thank you for investing your time in watching today's edition of the program. Join us on Friday for another interesting package. Stay tuned on Living TV for other programs on this very beautiful channel. Thank you for watching.
Is a reality. Let's give it a chance to grow. Let's join our hands to farm the land so we can have enough food to show. Let's save Nigeria so Nigeria won't die. Which way Nigeria? Which way Nigeria? Which way to go? Where to go? I love my fatherland. Oh sure. I want to know. Yes, I want to know. Which way Nigeria is heading to? Our ambition to be millionaires is running the country down. We all want to be millionaires and to live in the air. Oh, let's save Nigeria so Nigeria won't die. Which way Nigeria? Which way Nigeria? Which way to go? Which way to go? I love my fatherland. Oh yeah. I want to know. Yes, we want to know. Which way Nigeria is heading to? Remember that a simple step is the beginning of a million miles. Let's start right now to repeat ourselves so as to make the country smile. Let's save Nigeria so Nigeria won't die. Which way Nigeria? Which way Nigeria? Heaven and earth will pass away. It is written in the book of God. The good people will surely find their ways, and the meek will inherit the world. Let's save Nigeria so Nigeria won't fall. Which way Nigeria? Which way Nigeria? Which way to go? Which way to go? I love my fatherland. Oh yes. I want to know. We want to know. Which way Nigeria is heading to? Which way Nigeria? Which way Nigeria? Oh yeah. I want to know. Yes, I want to know. Which way Nigeria is heading to. One more time. Which way Nigeria is heading to. Let's save Nigeria. Which way Nigeria is heading to. Oh yeah. Which way Nigeria is heading to. Which way Nigeria is heading to. One more time. Which way Nigeria is heading to. Amen.